Hello everyone, and welcome to round 2 of the 5 Girls 1 Grungler versus 120 SPM tournament game here. We saw in the last one 120 SPM take it with a pretty dominant performance on Yukon there against the Mine and Ruddle strategy that 5 Girls 1 Grungler bought. Teams have swapped sides, and we have moved on to Blood Moon. Taking a look at the teams, Team 1 is ANS, Team 2 OSP as per normal. Team 1 is 5 Girls 1 Grungler. We have Cheese Slayer, Quinto Bean, Mav, and Nucleari. Team 2 is 120 SPM, Primrose, who is Notes, Boing Boing, who is Bongy, Modley, and Himars. Taking a look at deployments right now, I am already seeing a Sprinter Ball from 5 Girls 1 Grungler here. This is Mav's Sprinter Ball. This is the one that we saw in one of the other tournament games here, the one that has some Elant on it for hunting down those sensor assets in the back. We've also got, it appears that Cheese is once again on caps. Looks like we have, I'm assuming this is Quinto. Yes, Quinto on triple CL going mid. I'm seeing a couple Axfords as well, and some more CLs here as well. Looks like a pretty similar strategy to what they did on Blood Moon the last time, what 5 Girls 1 Grungler did on Blood Moon the last time, plus the Sprinter Ball up here. We will see how that works for them. Taking a look on OSP here, I'm seeing a lot more of a... I would say normal. I'm not seeing any cap fleets here. Everyone's readied up. I'm noticing double... That's not double Acello. That's likely double S2 Acello up top is what this is. 2 S2 Cellos is my guess. Bongy on a frontline fleet over here with Himars on caps, I would guess. We've seen the S2 Acello pull a lot of work in the tournament, especially in the Collapse the Electron v Sanjover game yesterday. We will see what 2 of them is able to do here. That's a lot of investment on a direct missile fleet, and unfortunately there's not a whole lot of capitals here on ANS. We'll see if these are able to pull enough work to deal with the cappers and the CLs as well as the Sprinter Ball. Looks like 5 Girls 1 Grungler still sort of discussing deployment here. No one has readied up. OSP has entirely locked in at this point. Discussing mine placement, sorry. That has to be double S2 Cello, right? Considering the limited amount of hulls that OSP is deploying right now. Because we have Bongy in frontline over here. We have Himars on the caps. That has to be 2 3K Acellos. I'm assuming S2 Cellos. Getting a zoom in of an Axford here. This appears to be one of Nuclearity's Axfords. We'll take a look at that in a second here. All right. Look at the teams, starting with 5 Girls 1 Grungler here. Cheese Slayer starts things off with the double CL cap fleet, very similar to what Himars brought in the last one here. 2 CLs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gun cappers, and a cringe capper. Might actually be the identical one to Himars. I am not 100% sure. I forgot the names on the other one. Very, very solid cap fleet. Mav with the Sprinter Ball up top, as we saw earlier. A mix of 120s and 250s here. Looking for the Elant sensors on any of these ones. Yes, Elant sensors jamming and comms jamming on one of these up here. It gives some nice support equipment there. Nucleari, as I mentioned before, in the double Axford, these are double Greedfords here, much like what was brought last time by 120 SPM here. Comms jammer on the back of one and a VLS2 on the other. I am noticing some SDM 200s in here. No, those are SGMs for Killjoys. We have some active decoys and some SDM 200s. Yep, so we got the full package in the back there. Quinto Bean is in the triple CL fleet, which looks like it is going to be hunting mid. This is the same one they brought in the last couple games here. No comms jammer on these voxels is one of the big things to note. We will see how that affects their performance in the game here. Initial deployments, Blood Moon is a center cap exclusive map here. 3 center caps here means it's going to take a while for everyone to get onto points. It appears that Himars is not trying for B site here, although is probably going to try for A. Taking a look at what 120 SPM has brought. Yep, guessed it correctly. Bongy is on the front line here. Double 450 liners, broadsiders with some container backpacks. And are those T-30s? Yeah, some T-30s on the back for some early cap denial is always nice. Couple of sensor tugs up top. We have 1 Bloodhound and 1 early warning. Very, very nice. Himars here double 450 liner with the backpacks as well here. Looks like they are going on to A side here. No, they have them split up a lot more than Bongi does. HIMARS is actually not running camps. HIMARS is just full frontline half cap, it looks like. We have a sensor tug with a nice gun on it, and a couple of cappers. These are both cringe cappers, one going for A and one stepping onto E. Wrapping things up mildly with the S2 Acello, followed up by the other S2 Acello being run by Notes here. Yep, I called it. Double S2 Cello. Taking a look at these appear to be relatively the same build. Yeah. Likely, yes, these are the same build. Based on the missile names, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it was Notes who designed this, the missile names at least. Sprinter Ball has acquired the double S2 Cello here. Missiles now being programmed, likely going to try to go into the Sprinter Ball here. We have some CMD Hodge and some just regular CMD, likely trying to acquire on those comms jammers here. Normally Sprinter Balls do have a lot of flak and other hard kill tools with them. We will see, is it enough to destroy these missiles? Yes, the flak is going to absolutely eviscerate those missiles before they're able to do much at all. Mildly bow tanking the Sprinter Ball here, has probably identified what this is here. A full salvo being programmed now, a lot of Hodge missiles now out. Likely trying to break the jamming on the Sprinter Ball here to get a target lock on them. Hodge is going to fly straight running into the jamming ship here. Flak being fired. Will it be enough? No, it's not going to be enough. ANS, the jamming ship, one of the jamming ships on the Sprinter Ball is already out of the fight as Mav takes crippling damage to it. It is recoverable, but that's already a significant loss for the Sprinter Ball. Another missile salvo being programmed now. We have a couple more missiles out, more of these Hodge missiles now out on the Sprinter Ball. The Sprinter Ball needs to MCOM, needs to shut down the jammers to prevent them from getting annihilated by the Hodge missiles. Jamming is still going out right now. These are going to fly directly. There it goes. Jamming is now out. Any comms jamming? Doesn't look like it, although it doesn't look like command track was maintained. The Sprinter Ball gets away with that one. Taking a look at the overall situation right here, Bongi is going to rush onto the B point with the T-30 backpack liner. Is going to absolutely annihilate Cheeslayer on the point there. OSP is going to take Boxer after ANS secured it for a second there. ANS with a very, very strong take of A here. This is where the majority of their forces are. Push HIMARS out, sort of back here. Sprinter Ball doing its best to try to avoid the S2s. The Flak and the Defenders cleaning up a lot of those missiles. The S2 Acellos have mostly hidden themselves on C here. OSP takes C with the S2 Acellos. It's going to take B with the liner. It is on ANS now to recover points. Quinto tentatively trying to poke up here and take a look at the S2 Acellos here. The S2 Acellos are actually a pretty decent tool to use against the Sprinter Ball here, especially with the Hodge backup. It's going to get through that jamming quite well. Mildly is going to poke over the corner here again. Gonna get spotted by the Sprinter Ball. The Sprinter Ball is detected in return. Jamming's going out against the liners here instead of the S2 Acello. Mav looks like they're trying to get around the S2 Acellos here, try to get a flank shot onto the liners, the ones that they are able to deal with a lot better than the Acellos. Although Quinto steps out broadside to a 450 liner in one of the CLs and gets absolutely... The damage is a lot less than I was expecting, but that's still a rough trade to have. They do manage to catch the broadside of one of the S2 Acellos. Same thing with the Axfords. ANS's frontline force now fully engaging the S2 Acello here, while the Sprinter Ball ducks around and starts putting shots into HIMARS here. Mildly sending out the full salvos now, desperately trying to get this frontline ball off of them. The Sprinter Ball up there, continuing to just loop around the map here. It's a lot of point defense in one area. The defenders from the combined CLs and Axford fleet doing a decent job of actually picking apart the decoys here. Killjoys are out. A lot of these are CMD only, though. Comms jamming, losing track at the last moment, but still slams into the Axfords here. The Axfords doing a decent job of nose tanking the incoming missiles. One of the S2 cells completely gutted. Notes now steps in with theirs to try and get some finishing hits on these Axfords here. Without follow-up from the 450, though, which is currently occupied with the Sprinter Ball, it's going to be a toss-up as to whether these Axfords are going to get killed there. Although HIMARS does manage to get one of their liners into the open in the center of the map here, able to get some crossfires down. One of the Axfords severely damaged, the other one has been injured. One of the S2 Celos severely injured itself, although it has gone sensor dark right now. Cheeslayer hunting low. Axfords are still just putting fire into the already damaged S2 Acello here, just trying to finish it off. Notes is perfectly bow onto the front line, though, and is just pushing forward. Meanwhile, Mav continues to just tear up the back line right now, already on a hunt for those sensor assets that can keep them spotted. They catch out HIMARS's and are likely going to make their way towards Bongies in a second here. Missile salvo out again from Notes here, in conjunction with what's left of Modley, just sending more missiles into the CLs, it looks like. One of them taking some pretty heavy damage right now. Comms jamming is not really going to stop these missiles due to the fact that they're being fired by Nacella with enhanced comm equipment, as a lot of these frontline ships on ANS are going to start taking some really heavy damage to the missiles. Bongi now flanking around the side here with the 450, getting some really nasty cross shots into the already crippled Axford here. Nuclear Ari is likely already abandoning this ship here, probably going to be unable to save it. It is at risk of reactor blooming on the rest of the fleet here. That's a reactor overload probably in 5 seconds here. The CLs are really close to that still. Is this going to cook the rest of the frontline fleet? This might actually soft kill a lot of these missiles, or at least hard kill them. No, there's the reactor bloom. That was a field line fire, not a reactor bloom, as Quinto is taking some pretty heavy damage right now. CLs are still relatively recoverable here. Notes running low on missiles. Mildly is pretty crippled, although is able to chain restore a little bit here. Quinto calling GG, likely recognizing that they're out of the fight, although the rest of their fleet is still in a decent fighting condition here. Cheeslayer now ducking back to try and deny dagger against a sneaky HIMARS back cap with a cringe capper here. More missiles now going out into the healthy Axford here. Lots of damage being dealt really quickly here. The S2 Acela pulling a lot of work in a lot of different matches here. We saw how good it did against the Ungstack in the last game here. The 450 follow-up is a very devastating combo to mix with the missile CLs. Cheeslayer still in the fight with the double CLs. They do get the S2 Acela does get target locked. Possibly by Cheese. Yes, by Cheese, as Cheese gets a broadside shot onto Notes' S2 Acello here. We will see if it's able to do enough damage to salvage some of the front line that ANS has here, although both Axfords are pretty much gone at this point. One of them will be going down in a second here. The overload actually does get fixed. Interesting. The CLs are heavily damaged at this point. The Axfords are also very crippled. C-Point now going to ANS here, as ANS is going to secure the cap advantage. Sprinter Ball just barely not getting Bloom Dumb up top. Is just mopping up the sensor assets in the back line, doing what they have been designed for. Cheese takes a nasty hit from HIMARS' 450 liner, which steps out and just absolutely eviscerates one of these cap CLs, protecting Notes from taking too much damage to the broadside there, as you can see how well the positioning of the assets that 120 SPM has are doing right now, able to cover each other quite well with their weaknesses. The Sprinter Ball still intact in the backline is likely going to try and hunt down some of the... Oh, they do manage to find the heavily damaged S2 Acello here. They will likely be able to finish it off, considering that there's basically nothing left of it. Notes is nearly empty on ammo here, although they have done their job quite well. Quinto effectively out of the fight with the CLs. The CLs are all pretty much mission killed. Cheeslayer just barely hanging in there with one. The other one has taken some crippling damage. Starting to get some fire into HIMARS' 450 liner right now. Desperately trying to deal some damage to the front line. Mildly attempting to go bow onto the Sprinter Ball here to resist the damage that's coming in from the Sprinter Ball is going to take a lot of fire in return. That large DC locker is what's keeping this thing restorable. If that goes down, they are not going to have the restores to bring their ship back online to any level. Cheeslayer gets locked onto and fired on by notes here in the S2 Acello. They fire on one of the healthy ones. That takes a lot of missile hits there, as Cheeslayer's CLs are also quite crippled at the moment. Heimar should have no trouble mopping up those damaged CLs at this point. Nuclear Ari does manage to get one of their Axfords kind of in cover here. It is still being tracked, but not sure how good the track is. Doesn't look like any of the liners are currently trying to engage that Axford. It might be able to get itself back up to a state in which it's able to fight. Yep, you can see the guns are already being restored here. It is right next to the S2 Acello, which is effectively empty. S2 Acello firing a couple more of its missiles. It is jamming out Cheeslayer right now. These are going for Cheese. Yep. Sprinter Ball just attempting to just mop up a lot of these priority assets in the backline right now. They are going to try and deny C against this S2 Acello here. The S2 Acello actually still has 2 restores. It is in the reinforced. Yeah, it's in the reinforced. Okay, that would explain it. Sprinter Ball now committing onto one of Bongi's liners here. They have it target locked, and they are opening up on it. They got to be careful not to get too close, because that thing does have a secondary battery of 100 mil. Nuclear Ari doing a decent job of getting back in the fight here, being jammed out by the S2 Acello here. The S2 Acello jammers go on to cooldown. Nuclear Ari, it looks like they're just going to try and commit onto A here to try and dislodge the S2 Acello. Under broadside fire, though, from one of Bongi's well-placed 450s down by Dagger. It is not yet stepped onto the point. Their other one up top is starting to get chewed up by the Sprinter Ball, although it is absorbing the hits quite well here. More S2s going into one of Quinto's CLs here, just keeping it mission killed, preventing it from getting back up. The Axford doing its best to sort of duck into cover here and do its best to engage the S2 Acello alone. Sprinter Ball is really the only offensive asset left on ANS right now.
The enemy is securing zone Dagger.
Dagger begins to get capped by OSP as Heimars sticks their back capper onto the point. This is the one that Cheeslayer tried to divert to deal with, but unfortunately could not. Sprinter Ball now swapping to mildly S2 Acello here, just preventing it from getting back onto the C point here. Doing their best to just constantly keep it disabled.
The enemy is securing zone Eclipse.
Eclipse is now being captured as well as Heimars sends their 450 liner onto the point here. The S2 Acello is doing an excellent job of mopping up all the offensive ships that ANS has, able to just open up a lot of the territory. OSP's play for limited hulls here pays off as they're able to get massive battle impact into the hulls that ANS has, evening the playing field quite significantly here. Mav still has most of their Sprinter Ball left. Cheeslayer still has a couple of cappers, but against liners, those aren't necessarily going to be doing the most here. Heimars actually steps off of... No, Heimars is still capturing E. What am I talking about? Heimars is going to continuously just commit onto E here, mildly doing their best to try and get themselves onto Charlie here, although they are taking a beating trying to do that.
The enemy is securing zone Boxer.
The 120 AP not doing the actual K-killing damage that I think that the Sprinter Ball was hoping for against this S2 Acello here. They are constantly dealing damage to the CIC and the drive, but it's not permanently killing the ship. Cheeslayer steps onto Boxer Point here to try to take the point, but Bongi rediverts their liner here now that the Sprinter Ball is busy with the Acello up on C, diverts it over back towards Boxer to just take the point and prevent ANS from capturing it. Nuclear Ari trying to get their crippled Axford onto the point here. It is all guns down. It is combat ineffective here, as ANS has like 4 combat ineffective ships on the A point here, but is unable to take it due to the S2 Acello still being there. Sprinter Ball now diverting over to Boxer to try and cover the cap attempt here. Mildly has been disabled for the time being, although it's not going to take them too long to get this Acello back online, back moving, back onto C. ANS was just the massive losses to the S2 Acellos early on, with just very rough for them. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to recover from those substantial losses, and you can already see the points are starting to add up in ANS's favor. The points are still in ANS's favor, but they're going to really quickly start adding up in OSP's favor in a moment here due to the cap retaking effort from the players on the Protectorate team. Most of the liners are still really healthy on OSP here. They haven't really lost a lot. The only really significant ship that's been mission killed on OSP so far has been one of the S2 Acellos, but even then it's still active, it's still alive, and it is able to step onto sea. Boxer is going to be denied as Bongi denies it with the liner. E point is going to go to OSP. Heimars is going to take the objective here. A point is a no-go, and C is at significant risk of swapping sides here as Mildly gets the Acello back online and begins burning it towards C. Sprinter Ball doing what it can against the liners, although as the only combat effective ship that fleet that ANS has left, it's not really going to be doing a whole lot alone. ANS just severely gutted by the S2 Acello push, is just unable to really gain ground here against what's left of OSP. Mildly gonna step onto C here. Sprinter Ball swaps fire to it, notices at the last second, although it is already on the point. The Sprinter Ball needs to put a ship onto C to hold it at this point and prevent an OSP 5 cap, although the Sprinter Ball does not want to close the range given what the Sprinter Ball is. Mildly doing an impressive job of keeping this Acello alive, able to hold on to it and get onto the point here. Still able to get battle impact with it. Sprinter Ball is detected and locked by pinpoints from the liner here. The liner gets secondary batteries on target as Mav immediately swaps over, recognizing what's happened. Jamming is not coming out from the Sprinter Ball right now. At this range, I doubt that it'll help, especially with the target lock from the pinpoint. The liner now being swapped to starts taking some damage here, although it's not really going to be enough to matter, I don't think. With the limited ships that ANS has, I don't really see them winning this one. The S2 Acello still combat capable on A point against all of these combat incapable ANS ships. It's just going to hold the point indefinitely here. Heimars is already sending a 450 liner to A as well, just to confirm that they're able to hold it. C point is going to go to OSP, and with nothing in ANS around here other than the Sprinter Ball to really retake that, it's unlikely that they're going to be able to retake it back anytime soon. Boxer is firmly in the hands of OSP. E is firmly in the hands of OSP. I believe this is an OSP victory here. Just kind of mop-up duty for OSP right now. Cheese Slayer does try to send a capper to C, although it gets intercepted on its way. Drives are down. Heimar is just cleaning up on A at this point. The already crippled ships on the A point are going to pose no threat to that liner. Sprinter Ball did its best, although with the rest of the fleet being annihilated by the S2 Acellos, it's really not able to pull the weight that it wanted to here. It's able to get a lot of impressive damage into a lot of ships, although not really able to have the battle impact that it really wanted to, especially with the rest of the fleet already gone. Mav is going to recap Dagger here with one of their jam escorts from the Sprinter Ball. They will be able to take the point. Mildly gets a launcher back online. Sends a couple of missiles at the Sprinter Ball. No target locks, and the flak is still active on the Sprinter Ball is going to mean that that missile is going to get annihilated before it hits the target. Another salvo out. This one is actually being fired on the one that's target locked. Flak and Defender is once again opening up. Gonna clean up those missiles pretty nicely there. Fourth and 6, not 5th and 6. That is my bad. Yeah, Anus just straight up has, like, nothing left to really fight anymore. The Axford's gonna go down here. The CLs are not really combat capable anymore. One of them still has a gun left, although it's not using it. It's possible that Quinto's just trying to play dead here. Surrender from the Sprinter Ball is going to submit the ANS victory here, or sorry, the OSP victory here, as 120 SPM takes 4th place, 2-0 against 5 Girls, 1 Grungler here. Excellent plays from them in both games here. The S2SL is pulling a lot of work here on Blood Moon, able to gut the majority of the front line of ANS here, allow them to just cap the points with their limited ships that they brought. Very actually limited losses on OSP right now as, yeah, they're just able to deny the front line from being able to do anything before it's able to have bite. And that's going to be it. Taking a look at this one was, once again, a very obvious what happened here. The S2SLOs just gutted the front line really early on. Both Axfords, one of the Axfords completely killed at the 8-minute mark. The other one just completely mission killed. Quinto Bean gets mission killed before she's able to do a whole lot of battle impact there. The S2SLOs pulling a lot of work. The Sprinter Ball, with the rest of the fleet pretty much gutted, are unable to really do much against the still fully healthy OSP team. And Cheese Slayer did what they could on caps, but unfortunately, like I said, the secondary batteries on the remaining liners that were completely uncontested are just not really able to have much battle impact. Note's pulling a very, very solid 53k damage with the S2SLO there, able to mission kill probably about 6k worth of ANS right there. And then the liners have no problem cleaning up the remaining ships. 120 SPM is going to take 4th place in this tournament. 5 Girls, 1 Grungler takes 6th.